We're going to a place. They always show this place bathed in sunlight. Bright pastel blues, vibrant pinks, and tourists packed shoulder to shoulder. But today, Busan gave me a different version of Gamcheon Culture Village. The sky is heavy, a thick gray fog is rolling over the mountainside for sure, and a steady, gentle rain is tapping against my head. Honestly, I prefer it this way. It matches exactly how things have been feeling inside my head lately. Living alone in a foreign city sounds like a dream on social media. People see the ocean views from Guangali Beach or the lights of Somyeon district and think it's a non-stop adventure. They don't see the quiet moments. They don't see what it's like to step into an empty, dark apartment after a brutal day at work, realizing that if you don't cook, you don't eat, and if you don't clean, nobody else will. So, walking up these streets, wet path right now reminds me so much of my daily routine here. Just putting one foot in front of the other, stepping into the unknown. When you live alone, the silence can either be a sanctuary or a prison. One days like today, when the world is muted by the mist, you're left entirely with your own thoughts. And lately, those thoughts have been heavy. Work has been completely different lately. Navigating work here, dealing with the intense culture, the language barriers, and the constant pressure to perform has pushed me to my absolute limit. There are days when the work pressure feels like it's crushing my chest. When you make a mistake at work back home, you can vent to a friend at the local spot in your native language. Here, even expressing your frustration feels exhausting because you're constantly translating your emotions. The challenges at work make you question your worth. You start to wonder if you're smart enough, capable enough, or strong enough to cut it in a city that moves at lightning speed. When a project goes wrong or workload is heavy, the isolation magnified tenfolds. There's no safety net. If I fail here, it's entirely on me. That realization is terrifying. It makes you want to pack your bags and catch the next flight out of Gimli International Airport. But when you look at these colorful houses standing stubborn against the storm, and you realize that staying power is built in the moments when giving up feels like the easiest option. Being here alone I'm realizing that this solitary life in Busan is teaching me something crucial. Survival isn't about the absence of hardship, but it's about learning how to navigate the fog. Really. Living alone means I've had to become my own parent, my own best friend, and my own cheerleader. When the work stress gets too high, or when the news back home breaks my heart, I am the one who has to pick myself up the floor. It's a brutal way to grow, but it's effective. You start to find a strange, quiet confidence in your own ability to endure. You realize that you have survived 100% of your worst days so far. The language barrier is still there. The rent is still due. The work politics are still exhausting. And the situation back home is still complicated. But look at me. I'm still here, walking around, looking over a beautiful, historic village in South Korea. And the food I bought with money I earned. The storm is happening, but I am learning how to be the anchor. So I just keep moving. The rain starts to pick up a bit. As I turn this way, this narrow alley. It's incredible how a place built by refugees during the Korean War can feel so deeply comforting when you're going through your own personal internal battle. These houses were built out of necessity actually, packed tightly together on the mountainside because people had nowhere else to go. They survived, they built a life out of pure resilience. So lately it feels like I'm trying to do the same. But the weight of everything back home makes the ground beneath me feel shaky. It's incredibly hard to be thousands of miles away when things are going not so good back home. You get the phone calls, you read the messages, and you feel this overwhelming sense of guilt and helplessness. I'm trying to build a future here, but my heart is constantly pulling backward by the challenges my family and loved ones are facing across the world. There are nights where I just sit on the floor of my room, staring at my phone, wondering if leaving was the right choice. Am I being selfish? Am I running away? The truth is, surviving back home had its own sets of walls, and coming here was supposed to be a new start. But I quickly learned that moving to a new country doesn't wipe my slate clean. My baggage follows me across oceans, packed neatly into the corners of my mind, waiting for a rainy day to unpack itself. This is like a dream where everything is familiar, but slightly out of reach. Of course, because of cultural differences. And that is exactly what my first few months in Busan feels like. Navigating the cultural differences of this new country is completely different. Back home, I know the unwritten rules of society. I know how to read a room, how to joke with stranger, or how to subtly ask for help. Here, every single interaction takes deliberate mental energy. Ordering food, sorting, recycling into five different bins, or trying to understand the subtle shift in tone of my superiors is exhausting. There are days I feel like an absolute ghost walking through these crowded streets, moving through a world I inhabit but don't fully belong to yet. When I feel I live alone abroad, I realize my vulnerabilities and it was magnified. If I get sick, there's no one to run to the pharmacy for me. I have to pull out myself, out of bed, translate the symptoms on my phone, and I hope I can buy the right medicine. But as I look at these tightly packed houses, sharing walls and roof, I'm reminded of how tightly interwoven this community had to become to survive. They didn't build this place with massive blueprints, but they built it inch by inch, adapting to the harsh slope of mountain. Maybe that's what I am doing too. I am adapting. My comfort zone is expanding because it has no choice, or I have no choice, but to grow. Back home, I feel the pressure was loud. I know everyone has an opinion on what my life should look like, what milestone should I be hitting, and how I should be handling my family's struggles and my personal affairs. But at work, and also at work, the noise is just deafening. Endless emails and constant underlying anxiety of corporate expectations. But standing here completely shocked at the edge of a mountain in Busan, none of that noise can reach me. I am entirely out of office, both physically and mentally. I think that's why I recommended this place so deeply to everyone who feels overwhelmed by life. Busan is famous for its energy, the bustling beaches of Hyundai, the roaring crowds at baseball games in Sajikdong, and chaotic seafoods market in Jagalchi. But it's true, magic lies in spaces like this, where you can find absolute solitude. It takes a lot of courage to admit that you're struggling, and I am struggling. And it takes even more courage to sit with that struggle instead of trying to distract ourselves from it. The rain forces us to slow down. It forces you and I to look at the colorful walls right in front of you instead of worrying about the storm waiting for you back at your own workplace. I am learning to appreciate the beauty of a rainy day because without it, I wouldn't appreciate the clear sky when they finally arrive. And this is Busan Gamcheon Culture Village. Thank you.